Vance with Jody Vance. Once again, we are welcoming back maybe one of our all-time favorite first glance guests in Richard Goldstein, the founder and CFO of Canntab Therapeutics, one of the coolest stock symbols ever, PILL. I mean, you're surrounded by them, Richard, in your virtual backdrop. This looks different. Last time we were looking at you in your office, I think, but look at you.
Still in the office, but through the nature of digital magic and a good marketing team, we've made a small step forward. I'd like to say just for you, but partially for you, partially hopefully for the many other people I get to spend lots of fun time with, just like you.
We will share you as far and wide as need be to spread the good word about Canntab. I'm really excited about what has happened since our last conversation. I mean, Hassan, who at EQUITY.GURU, and I were talking, and he was saying, oh man, like Canntab has now the patents for those hard press pills for slow release and fast release cannabinoids for Canada, the US, like right there, those are huge. And now you're adding to that list?
Well, we certainly are. And as you just said, we were fortunate to get the US patent, all three patents, by the way, several patents beyond those three, but the last three that have been approved were all filed in 2017. So now here we are, 4 years later, and that gets to show you sort of about what Canntab is all about, right? We've taken our time, we've filed IP, we've pursued that IP. We're now receiving the benefits of all of that labor and cost, because I can tell you it's no small exercise to go ahead and file around the world. But receiving last October the United States patent, and then just recently the Canadian patent, and then lo and behold, Australia, and I only hope now the major territory left is probably Europe. And if we could get Europe, I mean, how often do you really get to sort of maybe not own, but certainly lead a product category in any industry, not just withstanding pharmaceutical or medical grade cannabis?
But pill, period, hard pressed. You know what? We did it. We did happy hour the last time we were together. I think this one deserves. Oh, there you go. Congratulations on that. This is something that we're going to do every time you and I talk.
Well, anyone that knows me knows that I've never said no to something with alcohol inside of it. We all have our shtick, right?
Yeah, your Italian wine shtick is working. It's working. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more, Richard, about PILL, about Canntab Therapeutics. I was so blown away by you showing off the various vials full of what looks like, pills. Here, you got them on your desk. There you go. There you go. The yellow. Okay, so the yellow ones. Raise the sunshine. So those ones would be the CBD. I can't tell you how many people I have told how, that's what the next incarnation really feels like from the consumer standpoint, is being able to be told, okay, if you want to take CBD, you get the yellow one that has no THC in it, but it's a good dose of the CBD. And that's what so many people are looking for. Those who don't want pain management or to get high, then that's where they're going to. And being able to go, okay, and then there's the blue one, and the blue one has
half CBD, half THC, right?
Right. And then the red one, but the red one is like,
the red one is THC, and the green one behind me is actually a combination of CBD and THC. As I mentioned in our last chat, we do a 1-to-1 ratio, but we also do that 1-to-5 ratio. For every 1 part of THC, we give you 5 parts CBD. And that's where we think, the real medical community will head. Not to get you buzzed, not to get you high, to provide relief with real medication.
With real medication, and more with every day that goes by, Richard. And this is me learning as well, because I'm a nerd. I'm a square. I'm a nerd. Call me all those things. I told you before.
Not that a nerd has a look to it or whatever. I could be a nerd. We could all be nerds. You know what?
I'm a little bit. Let me say, I'm apprehensive about. Let's say I would have been more comfortable with taking a token, waiting, and knowing what I was in for than actually ingesting something. But what you're showing at Canntab, to me, if you say this tablet is 1-to-5 THC to CBD, if you take this green pill, it will not make you high, but it will help you sleep or get to sleep or stay asleep. I'd be like, I mean, I don't know what goes in it, frankly. I don't know what's in an Advil or a Tylenol. I don't know the active ingredients and how they were processed or whatever. Like, so I think the two meet with Canntab. Is that oversimplifying?
No, it's not oversimplifying. I think you actually nailed it, down. I mean, the reality is low dose THC won't get you high. It won't even get you that one Guinness in, like you talked about. You go with a 2.5 milligram, which is the base dose, until we launch the oral dissolvable tablet, which is our next releases, and that will come in 1 milligram. But right now, the instant release tablet, that little red tablet, it comes in 2.5, 5, and 10, as we discussed. But at 2.5 milligrams, even your grandmother, God bless her if she's still alive, I hope so. And I'm talking about your grandmother. I don't even know if you have one, but I'm imagining that you do. And she's not going to get high,
right?
But you know what? She's going to get some relief. She's going to feel a little something.
Yeah.
But more importantly, when that big dose of CBD kicks in, she'll stay asleep. She'll feel much better in the morning. Her muscles won't ache. Like I said, it's not a panacea for everybody, but
nope.
Anecdotally, we have seen such great benefit. We're even seeing more and more coming out of the medical community now. But the best part about what we have versus the Advans or even the cannabis nabalone drug that was approved for GW Pharma, now sold to Jazz Pharma, by the way, for 7.2 billion with a B. But nevertheless, we are discovering that it's beneficial, but more importantly, it's best to come from the plant, right?
Yeah.
And let's not forget, Canntab, pill, our symbol. We're about making pills, pharmaceutical pills, but it all stems from a plant that's been around and used by generations and generations of our ancestors.
And I think that's a really important piece of this, honestly, Richard, is the fear that had swirled around the drug, the gateway drug. And it was just, I remember because working in talk radio, that's my forte. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a market analyst. What I have been following along with the lead up to medicinal or medical marijuana and then full legalization of marijuana and how much pushback there was. It's going to be Armageddon. It's going to ruin society on so many levels. And here we are years later now. And not only has things not fallen apart, we're finding relief for people who otherwise were dependent on major addictive chemical-based drugs. And there's a role for traditional medicine. And as this rolls into traditional medicine, there's a balance for, like you said, not a panacea, not going to cure everything. But if this plant with so many beneficial non-psycho, what is it?
Non-psychoactive, you got it.
Psychoactive, there you go. I'm trying to learn my lingo. But I mean, just in terms of wanting to maybe utilize this, like as a sleep aid. I know people that have been using sleeping pills that leave them feeling awful in the morning and they can't sleep if they don't take it then, and which could be slowly transitioned into using a combination of CBD and THC. And I think there's so much to be said about openly having that conversation in a way that's not this or not. It can be both.
I mean, listen, I was just listening in on a BC presentation by a doctor, and he spoke of how we need more clinical trial, and I can tell you, Canntab is very much interested in clinical trials. We believe that we could tablet any formulation from any inventor or any organization that wants to do a clinical trial. Listen, an opiate like oxycodone is an amazing drug. It frankly is a miracle drug. And when you are in excruciating pain, having an opiate, is about the only thing you can turn to. And I get that,
Yep.
You need that, and I get that. But to suffer all the consequences of that drug, I mean, just even from, constipation, never mind addiction, of which we talked about last time, even if you're not addicted, but all the side effects versus just a natural plant. I mean, yeah, you could grow it in your backyard in Canada now, but growing it in your backyard and smoking it or making oil or making cookies or making whatever you want, butter out of it, it's something. But that little old tablet, whether it be red, yellow, blue, green, that's the solution.
Yeah, you can count on the tablet because you can't always count on the brownie or the butter or even the oil, even the most even the tincture that you might make otherwise. It's having that pill form. Again, I should remind our viewer, the stock symbol is PILL, pill. Canntab Therapeutics, the name of the company that you want to flag right now. Richard Goldstein is the founder and CFO. And as you know, picturing moving forward, and for those who maybe can't get past the oil or the tincture or even the tea or the gummy or whatever, and they just, all of those things they find just too awkward and weird, but are very comfortable with filling their, you know, Sunday to Sunday pill case and needing the Super Sunshine CBD yellow one in all of them.
Absolutely. And I can tell you, you know, people go, oh, I personally take a certain amount of daily medication, and it comes in a preformed package for the week, and you just push out breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. And someone said, well, you know, you're a young guy, why are you using that? I go, well, one, it's convenient. Okay. Yeah. Can you imagine one day, and Lord, I hope you're listening, one day where my pill pack that has, you know, my cholesterol drug or my, you know, diabetes drug or my blood pressure drug or whatever, or my statin, okay, and then also have my Canntab, because I can tell you, I take the yellow ray of sunshine every day, okay? Yeah. And so if I could just get it in the same form that I'm getting all my other RX drugs in, then we've really arrived.
Then you made it right. But, and that goes to what we said right off the top, which we did our cheers for, was the fact that your patents in the US, Canada, and now Australia, and having put those in years ago, 4 years ago, you said?
Yes. And they run
4 years ago.
2038, all three. So
wow.
For the next 17 years, you want to do pills in United States, Canada, Australia, well, either you got to find a way around our patent, or you got to come talk to us. And that's a pretty magical space. IP is power in the pharmaceutical industry. And I don't want people to forget, we are a pharma company. That's our roots, okay? We didn't come from cannabis. We are 15 years in pharma, not Canntab, but the professionals all working at Canntab.
Right. I really love this story. I really do, Richard. I think it is just phenomenal. How do people get, like, can somebody say, okay, I'm sold on the ray of sunshine? Like, how do I get that?
Okay, so great question, and thank you for asking that. So that is being distributed by MediPharm across Canada. When we first got licensed, we did a deal with MediPharm. They had the ability to go not only to Shoppers Drug Mart, but also to all the provincial stores. The provincial stores to get listed in, anyone in my industry will understand, especially if you're from Ontario, lots of competition, limited amount of shelf space, you know, limited amount of inventory that any of these regulated, you know, industries and entities want to hold. You know, it's a challenge. Okay, it's a
for sure. Challenge. Yeah, so it is.
Partnered up with MediPharm, and we'll partner up with many others. But the bottom line is whether you're in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario, Quebec, in the very, very near future, probably within the next number of weeks, certainly not months. You know, we're ready to go, but there is a legislative process you have to go by. Our brothers and sisters at Health Canada are very definitive. I can tell you they're certainly doing a much better job than perhaps 4 years ago when we started. I think they were understaffed, but they're learning just like all of us. I mean, this is still very, very new. Yeah, cannabis has been around for a long time, but you know, legalization and medical use and doctors, we're going to take some time to win over the doctors, but we'll win over patients first. And then when you can win over patients who then go to their doctors, that's going to force, you know, he or she to go out and educate themselves, because a lot of doctors won't bother. No clinicals, you know, no go. And what a shame, because clinicals take years.
Yeah, I agree with you. But it is interesting to go to the patient and have it work sort of in reverse, because it works. Like, that's the piece. And that's not just a Canntab thing. That's just what we've learned in the last number of years in Canada, particularly as we watch some of the reddest states in the United States come around to this. It's really quite fascinating. It is amazing because it works. And that's why industry that you're in, right?
Because it works. Okay. And if the United States were to open up the border, because we don't know in the United States, CBD now is no longer a scheduled drug. That could be manufactured in the United States. It can't be exported to the United States, but at the same time, it can be distributed in the United States if you make it there. So if we were to partner up with somebody in the United States and they wanted to sell it around the US, that would be fine. But if we want to do THC, and as I mentioned, I keep coming back to it, low dose THC, high dose CBD. You're going to hear a lot of that, not just from me, but from anybody that's really active. Okay. So you want the THC component. Well, that's a state by state, regulated industry, and you cannot cross state line with THC. So that if they could actually open up the border federally, we have the capacity in Canada. There's no need to build real estate in the United States. There's no real need to build it in Australia or Europe for that matter. We have the capacity to deliver the whole world right here in Canada, providing jobs for Canadians, okay? In an industry that's pretty exciting and really growing.
And helping people.
Hallelujah to that. That I will cheers you to. Helping people. Let's
cheers.
Change the world.
Let's change the world.
Why wouldn't a guy, as Jeff Renwick would say from Saskatchewan, one of his favorite expressions, why wouldn't a guy?
Why wouldn't the guy? Hey, listen, you said exciting things to come in weeks, not even months. So will you please promise to check back with us often here?
Well, you can't have me often enough until people are bored of Richard Goldstein. I love chatting with you. It's always delightful. Want to thank everyone at EQUITY.GURU again. They've been great partners thus far. We continue to hope for a long and fruitful relationship. As I said on your show last time, this is a marathon. It's not a 100-meter hurdles or race or anything. We're here for the duration. And so get to know us, because you're going to know us real well, real soon.
And for a long term, because you've trained for this moment. You've trained for this moment in time. Check out the stock symbol. It is PILL. It is Canntab Therapeutics. And it is Richard Goldstein, good friend of the program. Always such a pleasure to hang out with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jody. You have yourself a great day.
You too.